So some of you may remember last year in America when a bunch of 4chan users decided to put up posters saying it's okay to be white. And at the time, people lost their shit, to put it bluntly. And now, in this country, in the UK, we're seeing it rear its head again. As we can see here in Perth city centre, posters have gone up saying it's okay to be white. Nothing more to it than that. And it's disgust as Perth city centre is peppered with it's okay to be white neo-Nazi stickers. Because this is clearly not a meme campaign to expose the vitriol, hatred, and kind of general hypocrisy of the left. No. This is clearly neo-Nazi signalling. John Swinney here saying, this is atrocious and has no place in Perth or any other part of our country. We must stand together to resist this unacceptable material. A white A4 sheet that says, it's okay to be white. If we look at the article then, it says, anti-racism campaigners have lashed out at the anonymous individuals behind a raft of neo-Nazi stickers. It's not even in inverted commas, right? They haven't even put neo-Nazi in inverted commas. There is nothing about this which is inherently linked to neo-Nazis. Yes, it's linked to meme lords, and you could, to a greater extent, start talking about the conversation about whether or not young white men do feel alienated. However, none of that is neo-Nazi. Especially when, it's like when people start using the definition of fascism incorrectly. Or rather, they don't apply the definition of fascism because they don't understand it, don't know what it is. Dozens of stickers reading, it's okay to be white. Dozens! Oh God, call the police. Dozens of stickers appeared on streetlights and drain pipes around the city centre. The slogan rose to notoriety after being used by white supremacists, and that's not in inverted commas in there either. It's not. It's being used by internet message boards as a sign to call out the left's hypocrisy. And social media was later posted around college campuses by far-right protesters. Again, another baseless term, far-right being undefinable by the left at the moment. Oh, it's so far beyond the Overton window as to be considered far. Yeah, I don't buy it. Not a bit. Stickers bearing the phrase were plastered along Leonard Street and Tay Street, as well as independent shopping hub George Street, with many social media users calling on residents to tear them down. Everyone's a keyboard warrior, clearly. They removed the sticker on request, and officers confirmed they are investigating what is being interpreted by some as hate speech. What is hateful about saying it's okay to be white? Nothing. And the main focus of this, because I'm sure a lot of you who are watching this video have heard this before, okay? But it's like, if the left truly were compassionate, and they thought this through, and they gamed it out, and they realised what was going on, they would say, according to their own paradigm, that white supremacy is on the rise of the far right across all of Europe and the US, and all these other places is causing all these issues, and they've looked at this and they've gone, right, okay, here's the recruiting tool of the far right. And they haven't clicked that basically, instead of addressing the symptom and going, oh, this is racist, this is horrible, we should get rid of this, oh, it offends my eyes. Instead of doing that, why don't you address what it is that this is appealing to in the so-called recruits for the far right? Why don't you say, actually, clearly, then, there's a demographic of men who feel left behind. There are, or if it's not just men, there's a demographic of white people who are feeling left behind. Right? And then what you say is, you go, well, according to our worldview, it's fine to be white. In fact, it's better than okay to be white. They're not at the top of the progressive stack, but they are certainly at the top of society. We consider them to be our patriarchal oppressor class. That sort of thing, but you don't have to be a bad white guy. You just have to be an ally, right? That's their worldview, right? So instead of going, well, we've got all these disenfranchised white people. What are we going to do? We should we should be looking at what's disenfranchising these people. What's making them not want to be allies, that sort of thing. But no, there's no self-reflection here. There's no idea of are we actually persecuting them? Or are we actually causing them significant enough is it unclear enough? Is it foggy? Is it too unclear about whether we are causing an issue here? And if so, you should see messages of solidarity. And it's like, like the people who put these posters up, even if they believe they're white supremacists, they should say, look, this is abject nonsense. Instead of framing it in the language of fear and trepidation and absolute disgust and, interpreting this as a hateful statement, a really hateful statement in which, you're radicalizing more people towards this thing. Every poster you tear down, you're creating another dozen people who are, more willing to put them up because they just want the reaction if they're, they're the meme lords on the internet. And if it's not about that, then you're actually radicalizing people according to your own worldview. Instead, you should be talking in the language of compassion, surely. The most smart thing that you could do is just say, look, people are putting these posters up. We want to reassure everyone it is okay to be white. There's nothing. Look at all these things that you have going for you. Look, you're not being oppressed. You're not doing this, that, and the other. You should be able to respond to the accusations which are going to come at you as soon as you start doing that, which is going to say, but what about affirmative action? What about the 40% of UK society, which is young, not necessarily young, but working class single men who are left behind by and large by society? They're the bottom part of the West. And the reason is they don't have an answer. They're unwilling to engage. They don't want to have the debate. It's the whole deplatforming thing. Instead of engaging with the source material, they do what the left always does, which is treat the symptoms, not the cause, right? These are the same people who would take a look at Tommy Robinson and go, this racist, horrible xenophobe, burn them all, crucify him, shove him up into prison. And instead of going, do you know what? There's an awful lot of people who are supporting Tommy Robinson, and maybe we should actually look at why they're doing that. And it's not because they hate brown people. Why don't you actually listen to their arguments? Or at least listen to the cogent people within that movement who can make those arguments for them. Because the vast majority of you... Tommy Robinson, for all his faults, is not an inarticulate man. And there's no reason you can't engage with that. Anyway, I didn't want this to become a Tommy Robinson video, but... it's like... A spokesperson said, although no complaint has been made to police regarding these posters, officers are currently looking into the matter. So it's not even really that internet activists have complained. It's that that police are on Twitter. They've seen that, a few people are disgusted with these posters. They should be taken down. No formal complaint was made to the police. Funny that. And yet they've taken it on themselves as the moral arbiters of society. I'm sorry, but my tax money goes towards the police, and those police officers should not be enforcing a moral worldview based on anything other than formal complaints. Really. Like, they are going above and beyond their remit. The culprits behind the messages have been blasted by Perth Against Racism. I'm sure Perth has a ton of racism in it. The group said they have already been contacted by people of colour who live in Perth who say that the stickers have made them feel sickened, disgusted and unsafe by the terrifying attitudes expressed at a time of heightened racial tension. Well, maybe if you considered, instead of looking at the people who put the posters up and saying, these are the racist xenophobes, etc., etc., and say to the people of colour, they're saying, well, this is not addressed to you. This is addressed to white people, saying, it's a reassurance. It's okay to be white. And actually, why do you feel sick and disgusted and unsafe by this? What is it doing to offend you in particular? What's wrong with it? As a message in and of itself, you are reading so far in between the lines that you'll take anything to be racist at this point. This is worrying. We'll find it disturbing, and we've contacted the police. They have been very clever not to use any racial slurs, but the connotation is there, only because you're reading that into it. The people in there are there because they know you better than because they know you better than you know yourself. They're looking to arise that connotation in you. They haven't put it in there. You're going to put it in there. The connotation. We reject division in Perth. Well, you're causing division. You simply said, you issued a statement or whatever, and you said, look, we oppose the notion that we've been pushing any agenda which says it's not okay to be white. And here's why. It shouldn't be that difficult to justify, if you really think about it. If you think about it from your campaign positions, surely. Unless, of course, underneath it all, you're pursuing an agenda which might actually mean it's not okay to be white. But maybe we won't go into that right now, shall we? Anyway, nothing more to really say on this issue. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a great week.